It is just how absolutely jacked up Phil Mickelson's personal life is, thrown out of multiple clubs for indiscretions.
For months, Phil Mickelson said nothing. Not really. A vague line here, a family health matter there, a spokesperson hiding behind carefully worded statements while his name kept showing up in headlines for all the wrong reasons. But that silence just broke, and what came out of it is messier, stranger, and far more revealing than anyone expected. Let's rewind for a second, because to understand why this response matters, you need to understand just how deep this hole has gotten. Back in May, Golf Digest dropped a bombshell. According to their reporting, Mickelson allegedly made unwanted physical contact with a female employee at the Farms Golf Club in Rancho Santa Fe, a private course he had called home for decades. She rejected him, reported it to her supervisors immediately, and the club moved fast. They investigated, found him mid-round, pulled him off the course, and within days his membership at a club he belonged to for years was gone. Permanently. The Farms didn't mince words either, confirming they'd taken what they called decisive action after a thorough investigation. Mickelson's camp tried to play it down at first. A spokesperson said any misunderstanding had been cleared up and that Phil was simply dealing with a private family health matter. That explanation didn't hold for long because the club had already kicked him out and the San Diego County Sheriff's Office had already opened an investigation of their own. Eventually, Mickelson brought in heavy artillery. Tom Clare, one of the most feared defamation lawyers in the country, stepped in and claimed the allegations were directly contradicted by video evidence. Strong words. Except Golf Digest checked, and there were no security cameras anywhere near where the alleged incident happened. No footage ever surfaced. The sheriff's office, for what it's worth, said they hadn't found evidence to support a sexual assault claim, but they didn't clear anyone either. They simply said the door stays open if more comes forward. So that's where things sat for weeks. A standoff. A club standing firmly behind its decision, a lawyer making claims he couldn't back up with anything tangible, and Mickelson nowhere to be found, physically or in the headlines. No tournaments, no interviews, just silence wrapped around the phrase family health matter. And then just days ago, everything changed. A new and far more explosive story dropped, this time involving someone from Mickelson's own inner circle. Reporting from outlets covering the story revealed allegations from Ashley Perez, the ex-wife of Mickelson's former close friend and fellow tour pro Pat Perez. According to her account, during a night of drinking back around 2015, Mickelson allegedly sent her an explicit photo of himself and suggested she come to him later that night while Pat slept. It's the kind of allegation that doesn't just damage a reputation, it detonates a friendship. And it did. Pat Perez has spoken publicly before about a falling out with Mickelson, so severe he once said on a podcast that Phil crossed a line that was, in his words, unforgivable. At the time, nobody knew the specifics. Now they do. This is where Mickelson's response finally arrives, and it's not the full-throated denial a lot of people expected. Through attorney Tom Clare, the response was careful, almost surgical. Clare didn't deny everything. Instead, he drew a line, saying some of the allegations circulating are false, while others revisit mistakes Mickelson has already acknowledged, privately or publicly. Think about that phrasing for a second. That's not none of this happened. That's an admission wrapped in legal language that at least part of this is true, just maybe not framed the way it's being framed now. A separate statement, this one from a spokeswoman, leaned into the same strategy, pushing back against what she called a misleading narrative built by stacking disputed claims next to ones Mickelson has already owned. Again, the key word there is owned, not denied. Owned. That single shift in language is arguably the most newsworthy thing to come out of this entire saga, because for the first time, Mickelson's team isn't claiming complete innocence across the board. They're picking their battles, and that's what makes this moment so different from every other controversy Mickelson has survived. We've seen him weather storms before. The federal investigation into a mob-connected bookie who allegedly cheated him out of $500,000. The SEC insider trading scandal that forced him to repay nearly $1 million without ever facing criminal charges. The revelation that his gambling losses topped $40 million over a 4-year stretch. Every single time, the golf world shrugged, the story faded, and Phil kept playing. But those were financial scandals. Numbers on a page. This is different. This involves real people, real relationships, allegations of personal violation rather than financial recklessness, and a friendship with another tour pro that appears to have been permanently destroyed because of it. Right now, Phil Mickelson is 56 years old, sitting out the biggest events of the year, no longer exempt for the U.S. Open after a record 6 runner-up finishes, and watching his legacy get rewritten in real time by stories he can only partially deny. He built 30 years of goodwill on a golf course. It's becoming clear that some of what's unraveling, it happened far away from any fairway. The response has come. But instead of closing the door on this story, it might have just kicked it wide open. A note on this one. I work from verified reporting, Golf Digest, ESPN, the LA Times, Daily Beast, Yahoo Sports, since this is a real, ongoing, and legally sensitive story involving serious allegations. I kept the language carefully hedged, allegedly, according to the way the original outlets did, since nothing here has been proven in court. Worth keeping that same caution in your voiceover delivery.